Today I want to talk about what I call baby mother apologies. Now, we've been on this topic of grief and identifying grief in different ways. And so today, I am identifying the grief of a relationship, the grief of a specific relationship. There's more things I can say or talk about, but the grief of the significant other, the person who you either agreed to have a child with, or the person you kind of just expected would step up because we're grown adults doing grown adult things, and a child is coming because of it. I think it's quite interesting. In my situation, I just knew the night that my son's father left my house, I just knew that I wasn't going to see him again. And it was quite interesting because we were building a relationship. We at the time, we really were. We were building a relationship. We got along great. We had so much in common. There's so many things that felt like it clicked, that it matched. And maybe, at least on my side, maybe not for him, but that's how it felt to me. At the time, I was 16 and he was 19, so he was about 3 years older. And I really, truly thought that he liked me in some capacity. Like, sure, he wasn't in love with me. Sure, we weren't in a relationship. We were in what we used to call the talking phase. We were just talking about a whole bunch of different things and figuring things out. And he decided one day he wanted to come over to my house. And he lived about 45 minutes to an hour away. And I had invited him to a barbecue I was having for an exchange student at the time, somebody who was living with us. She was leaving, and I wanted to throw a barbecue for her, and then just invite all my friends. And he was one of the people I invited. But he didn't come during the party, and I didn't think he was gonna come at all. But he came late at night when my parents left for work. Things that I now see as red flags, and I'm like, I didn't see them. But back then I had I had a couple friends who hung back and were chilling at my house. And this man got lost trying to find my neighborhood, because if you don't have, back then GPS wasn't as bumping as it is now. And my house can be a twist and a turn. And you know what? That should have been the clue. That should have been the idea or the stamp to say, girl, run. No. But I was like, man, I live in a life where I'm so determined to do everything. I'm like, oh, blockage? Nah, I don't see blockages as blockages. I see those as obstacles that need to be moved out the way, okay? So, a friend who was with me, she's like, oh, let's go see him. Let's just go pick him up, because she was tired of the back and forth, me calling him calling me, and we just weren't clicking. So we went, we found him. He was he drove, and then we redirected him back to my house. And when he came, he was like, oh, he wanted to tour the house, he wanted to see everything. So I'm just showing him everything, and then we ended up in my bedroom, and my naive ass was like, okay, I got friends over, we can't be doing all this. And at the same time, I had made a promise to God that I wasn't going to be out here in these streets having sex. Like, I promised God, I'm going to stop all this foolishness. You know, when we say those prayers, we're like, God, just one more time. But I was actually pretty serious about it. And he actually was on the same page, according to what I knew before he came down. He was like, yeah, sure, don't worry, we ain't got to do nothing. And so I'm not honestly expecting nothing from him. And so we get there, we end up in my room, we make it out a little bit, and then I'm trying to be like, okay, we got to go back down, my friends are here. And he's trying to be like, oh, where you going, all this other stuff. So eventually I hear a knock on my door, and my friend's like, yeah, we're just going to head out. And I'm like, no problem. And so I see them out, thank them for coming, and then boom, we back in my room. and we messing around. And as much as like he's in there trying to like talk me into, yo, just put the tip in terms of like me giving him head, not necessarily sex just yet, but he was really talking me into just giving him head, just a little bit. He came all this way, and I was like, all right, cool. Let me just do this, and I'm like, I'm not having sex, so I can at least do this. And I think that's a crazy thing. This is how we compromise with God. We're like, God, I'm not gonna have the sex, but I'm gonna just do this right here. And so, I definitely gave him head or whatever, and then we're just chilling, we're just hanging out, we're just caressing, and he's like, I want to be your boyfriend, and I'm like, oh, say word. No, that's not what he said. I said, I want you to be my man. And he said, I am your man. That's what he said. He said, I am your man. And I said, oh. I mean, it was pretty slick with it, too. I was like, damn, that was a slick way to say that. And so we're making out. We're going back at it. And then so he's steady trying to, like, push it in. And I'm just like, he's trying to get in between my legs. And I'm just like, no. Like, trying to protect her. I'm like, no. We're not gonna do that part. And I guess I understand why one would lead to the other. But I've had girlfriends at that time who were like, yeah, I just gave them some head and that was it. And I'm just like, why was that never my experience? Why wasn't I not able to just do one part and not the rest? Like, why was one go for the other? Like, green light for everything else. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so, anyways, so I give him head and he's trying to get in. And I keep saying, no, I'm not in it. I'm not feeling it. And he keeps trying. He was relentless. He just would not let up. And he actually found his way in. Like, he actually, had, I think, I don't remember how close we were at this time. Forgive me, y'all. But he actually had put it in. At one point, I do remember this. He actually had put it in. And he gave me, 2 jugs. And he was like, how do you like that? And I was like, no. Take it out. I don't want to. And he was so mad. He was so mad. He got so frustrated. He stopped. And then he went to go take a shower. And then he went downstairs. And he was just chilling on my computer for a bit. And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to go. And I knew in my heart that was the last time I was going to see him. So about 2 weeks later, obviously the talking wasn't what it was, but we were still in communication. About 2 weeks later, I hit him up, and I was like, my period is late. And his response was, has it ever been late before? And I was like, yeah, it has, which is true. I've had inconsistent periods, so I didn't think nothing of it. And he was like, well, just leave it alone then. And honestly, I just put it out of my head. I really did. I didn't think nothing of it. Well, fast forward to, that was in August. And then about a month later, I was back at one of my ex's houses, and I was talking to him, chilling with him, hanging out with him. And that ex, he was very moody. Y'all, if you read the book, it's all in there. But I'm kind of giving you a synopsis so I can get to the point. That ex was really moody. And we ended up falling asleep, getting up, and then I ended up going home because we got into an argument, and he just, like I said, moody as hell. So I started school in September. I'm working out. Everything's going right. I'm losing weight. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling confident. I'm cool. And about the 6-month mark, I realized that I'm losing weight everywhere but my stomach. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. I'm even asking my mama, like, why child pregnancy did not even come up into my head. I'm like, why am I losing weight everywhere except my stomach? Because I was just so excited that I was finally losing weight, and that, like, people were like seeing me in a different light, that I was fitting into like my sister's clothes. Like, it was a moment of like happiness for me, that I wasn't getting made fun of. I wasn't feeling icky about myself. Like, sure, I was tired, but I was actually lifting up pretty heavy weights for my age. I was competing with all the boys in my class, and so I was eating salads. It made sense. About 6 month mark, I started feeling like a kick here and there, and I'm like, kick? I'm like, why I feel like something's thumping in my stomach? And so then I'm thinking back, and I sent my friends an email, okay? And I said, hey, I think I'm pregnant. But, like, basically I didn't know what to do with it. And I was just going to, like, leave it alone. I didn't want to tell nobody, because my mom only said if I got pregnant, she going to kick me out the house. Like, here's the thing. I understand parents wanting to set boundaries and rules, but I'm like, why is it always threatened with some type of violence or some type of, like, disconnection? Because I'm like, all that did in that moment was make me know that you were not as like my mother, but she was not a safe space for me to go to with any of this. And so I decided to ignore it. So fast forward to the day I was supposed to get baptized, and church had heard rumors and they wanted to know if I was pregnant. I said I didn't know, and everyone's looking at me like, how do you not know? My parents asked me the same thing. They're like, is it a possibility? Yeah, there's a possibility. But I'm not thinking nothing, because I'm like, he really only did 2 jugs. Like, it wasn't anything crazy. It really wasn't anything worth, like, me, like, really, really putting much thought onto. Because, like, in my brain, you have to have, like, you full on have sex, and they try, like, the pull-up method or whatever. Those can lead to you getting a baby, but not 2 jugs, not 1, 2, and that, like, no, you can't tell me that leads to baby. Like, how would that lead to baby? Like, how would that lead to being pregnant? Please explain it to me. So, anyways, I go to the doctor the next day after church, to get tested, and I find out I am pregnant. I think about a week later, I go to ultrasound. They can't tell me how far along I am, but then about a month later, my son was born. And around that time, my dad, trying to protect me, was upset, clearly, that his 16-year-old daughter was pregnant. I was 17 by the time my son my son was born. But my dad wanted to know who had got me pregnant, like, who I had slept with, like, who was this person. And I didn't want to tell him. I'm like, he's not going to be around. He don't want nothing to do with me. Just leave it. Just leave it alone. Like, I was preparing in my mind to do this on my own. And he was like, no, we gotta call and all this other stuff. My dad, like, back then, my dad did what a lot of Caribbean parents did. You know what I mean? They yelled, they threatened, you know what I mean? Like, they did whatever they needed to do to get the information that they needed. And so I actually feel bad for my baby father, because he didn't get a heads up from me that he was pregnant, because I had no intention of telling him. He got a call from my dad, my angry dad, one day, like, yelling and accusing, and, yo, we gotta figure this out, and all this other stuff. And so, like, he from then had his guard up. He from then was like, nah, I don't want nothing to do with this girl, this family, because it wasn't brought to him in a correct way. I'll be honest. And people, I know tempers were flying and all the other stuff, but, like, communication is key. And so, because it wasn't communicated in the correct way, now I thought, because I'm not going to call him that now, but I thought at the time that he was bummed anyways, and he wasn't going to do anything different. Like, I already knew that his mentality was just like, he didn't care, right? And so, it may not have mattered if it was brought to him in a different way, but at least the benefit of the doubt. But I digress. So, he saw my son at a month old. We'd gone to a mutual mall where he could meet him. because he denied him the whole time. He denied him when it came out, because he was actually, my baby father actually goes to my godmother's church. So it wasn't just an embarrassment for me and myself and my church, but embarrassment for her church as well, because he was out here having sex with, anyways. So he was telling everybody, I'm a liar. He doesn't know who I was sleeping with. I told him that there's 2 different guys, all this other stuff. Now, I was honest. I did tell him that I met my ex a month later. And as I'm thinking back, I wasn't sure what I did with my ex. I didn't fully remember that day. I'm like, I only remember us sleeping. I don't remember us, like, having sex and then that. So I don't really remember. But I'm like, we should do a DNA test. I told him from the jump we should do a DNA test, because I'm like, let's just sort this out. Let's just figure this out. But instead of doing a DNA test, he was just like, that's not my kid. He's like, I didn't sleep with her. He even went as far as telling people he didn't even touch me. Like, I was like, how you go, like, sir, how you say you didn't even touch me? He was like, you need to just tell everybody you're a hoe, you sucked my dick, and that was it. And I'm like, but we did. I mean, you at least put it in. But he wasn't ready for that conversation. So yeah, from the get-go, he just wasn't trying to be a part of my son's life. But we did meet at a mutual mall. I did bring my son to see him, and he did get to see my son. And somebody had passed and like, oh, that's such a cute kid, like, he's yours. And my baby father said, yeah, he's mine. And that gave me hope. I said, oh, okay, cool. Maybe there is hope after all. Maybe we can work this out. And it was like right after that day, he got so stern. And his face was like, no, we're no longer, that's not my kid. Like, he just went into full denial. He went as far as telling people that I was a Virgin Mary. If that turned out to be his son, there was no way on God's green earth that could be his. And so if you want to hear the rest of the story, please get the book and read the story, because it's an incredible story. But the baby mother apologies really, truly is from the perspective of bringing a child into this world and wanting to have a partner, but grieving the fact that they don't want anything to do with you. Coming to the acceptance that they are not here for you. They are not here to be a part of your world. They are not here to be a part of anything you got going on. They really just don't know who you are. It's like they flip a switch and all of a sudden you this monster, you this horrible person, you this everything that they said before was turned around, and they no longer see you as this person who they want to sleep with. You then become like the devil and the horrible person who's trying to ruin their lives. It is really interesting how the human brain can conceptualize life being born as a sucker of life, of how their life is now changed indefinitely. Now, life does change, don't get me wrong, but they see it as life changing for the worse. And something changes in them, and they're just like, they're no longer able to extend grace. They're no longer able to see anything other than anger. And all the voices around them are patting them on the back and saying yes. Even if they have voices that are just like, you got to do the right thing. It's like the inner voices speaking to them are like, nope, this person's a hoe. I just want to know how we were never hoes before they slept with us. Anyways, it takes a lot to grieve the loss of the involvement of the other person in the life. Like, a lot of single moms don't go into this thing, hey, I'm going to be a single mom. That's just what it's going to be. And some of them put their trust into these men who then decide that they don't want any parts of us. And that is, within itself, is a hard loss and a hard pill to swallow. Because we become, as we are trying to raise and nurture life, we are also villainized in the other way. And God intended for parents to raise kids together. He intended to raise a child. It is the work of two people We were not meant to raise children by ourselves. It was not meant to be the responsibility of one sole person. God knew how much work went into raising kids. And there's a lot to say why he instructs us to be married first. I mean, married to the right person, because I know some people who are married and it still doesn't work, but married to the right person, how we lay out the roles, the responsibilities, and who does what. And we're both actively taking this on because it takes that much amount of people and responsibility and joy and discipline to want to get this done. It really does. And when we go through life being sad and bitter and hurt, it doesn't allow us to really enjoy the process. When we go through this grieving and not even realizing we're grieving the loss of the other person, the other partner, we spend so much time just trying to raise this kid right or get all these things done that we don't acknowledge our own feelings. We need to acknowledge the part of them leaving. We need to accept it, and we need to start grieving it properly, because untouched grief really leads to bitterness, sadness, anger, and everything else. And this is how we have kids who are raised with angry parents, and they just don't understand why they feel like the parent never loved them, or why they feel like they were unwanted in this world, and why life is here and life is so miserable. I'm going to do a part 2, but we'll stop there for now. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Lips and Language podcast. My name is Cola. I am so excited that you are here. If anything I said today resonated, then get in touch with me. I have an amazing mentorship program. It is for those who feel misunderstood, overwhelmed, going through grief. It is truly an amazing time. If you want more info, hit my website, lipsandlanguage.com. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can hit it up on the website or DM me. I have a free gift for you, and I would love to be in contact with you. Whatever you decide, just know that healing, it looks good on you. And I'm so excited that we get to do this journey together. Have a blessed day. And if nobody told you, I will. I love you. Enjoy your day, and we'll talk soon. Peace.